annoying part of the composition. Like, every mistake that FlyQuest had made had been immediately rectified by a redemption, a shield, something. So nice to see that being taken out. And also really easy to face check bushes with Daisy. So now that that's gone, completely changes this. Azir is the one that gets banned. I thought that would be open a little bit. Senna is now available, so but it has been kind of dropping a little bit in priority. So I'm interested to see when it's going to get picked.
Yeah, since Azir and Smolder and Ivan is all banned, like this can be the new game. I feel like this is actually the second game of the series.
Interesting. So it is a first pick Lillia. Renekton is still open, but it will not be able to be paired with Ivern. No shock there that Bwipo picks Renekton. Core, do you think they're just going to match with Ksante for a 4th time in a row, or are we going to see something different?
Yeah, I think C9 thing, Renekton was not the problem, since Renekton actually lost the lane a lot.
Yeah.
Renekton Ivan was the problem, so they banned Ivan. So I think they will probably do the same thing. I think Thanatos play the lane well.
Yeah, I mean, if we see the Corki Ksante come through here, it's literally their first rotation.
Run it back!
Every single time. As we hover the Corki, they did remove the Smolder, which was previously FlyQuest's answer into the Corki. So we'll see what they want to pick up for quad on that side. But yep, this is the C9 blue side first rotation that they have decided on.
That's incredible.
I feel like Inspired was waiting for this moment. Ivan is gone. Finally, I can play AP jungle now.
Watch it just be a Sejuani. Yeah, straight into it. Oh! Orianna. That's an interesting one.
Quad Orianna. So he was a control mage player before this season where he played almost nothing but marksman. And with Azir gone, as a mid lane mage, Orianna would be next up, but I agree, that is a different type of scaling than a Smolder or an Azir.
Exactly. Yeah. When I thought about, of course, quad, I would go towards Cassiopeia, Orianna, these type of picks, so it's nice to see him on something that he's been really comfortable and probably playing quite a bit in scrims.
And then again, C9 doesn't have many AP source damage, especially when FlyQuest banned the Jigs. This Renekton can be another problem.
Yeah, he will likely be a problem again. He can get the additional shields from the Orianna. Curious to see if we see Senna getting banned at all, or if Senna fits at all with the current C9 comp. I'd almost say FlyQuest won't do it because it did lose last game, and even though it had ridiculous healing moments, I think C9 needs engage from their support role anyway.
Yeah, I really like the Jhin and Jigs ban. I think C9 could do. Knowing how Vulcan play, I think he could go Bard and then try to make some playmaking. But especially when Jhin is gone, I don't know what ADC he can pair with.
Okay, so Vi, Braum as the bans for FlyQuest. They banned the Braum the last time FlyQuest had Ashe. And they were thinking Leona? Inspired was getting more aggressive because Vi can definitely shut down the Lillia.
I would love Leona here. Ooh. I love that combo so much.
The Jarvan Orianna combo?
Yeah.
That's old school if they finish this.
Yeah, I mean, FlyQuest has a lot of options to play. I think since they picked the Jarvan, I think FlyQuest's 5 pick can be Senna or Seraphine. I think they have an option to pick Enchanter.
Oh, yeah.
So C9 also need to consider they can do that.
I kind of feel like if they're hovering Zeri, though, they might just go Zeri Alistair. That's the play they do, or Zeri Leona.
Yeah, because now that they see the Jarvan and they still get to pick their AD carry, now two of their carries do have dashes, so they can get out of the flag and drop, or the Cataclysm if they want to, so at least there's counterplay from C9's side. Want to see what the last pick is going to be for FlyQuest, though.
I think FlyQuest can even pick Alista here. Like, C9's comp have a really short range, so if they pick strong front lane and then B front, I don't know how C9 can go through.
Okay, what do you think about the Rakan then? It's more engaged, but not necessarily a front line.
I think Rakan is maybe there is a better pick, but Rakan is also fine.
Right.
Pretty comfortable to play. And then this is more aggressive way to use the Orianna. Rakan with the Orianna is always my favorite.
Okay, you called the last one after draft. Who do you call after this draft?
FlyQuest.
Okay, Core FlyQuest 3-1. He also only went on the desk to pick FlyQuest to win the series. Let's see if that's true. Casters, take it away.
Thank you very much, Lounge. It's good to be back. Time for game number 4, FlyQuest at match point. You mentioned it in game number 3, Azael, how if game number 1 just would have went slightly different at that Nexus push, we could have already had the series done by now. Cloud9 has to kick it into gear. No more chances. And with their backs against the wall, it's that old Berserker Zeri.
I feel like there are so many moments in this situations where one team wins the team fight and then the other team grabs the extra objective. Back onto the Rift though, Orianna has made her way here. Quad, this is one of those staple champions that everyone hyped up when he was first coming into the league.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's going to be interesting because now Ivern's gone, Smolder's gone. You know, they don't have that same style of draft. I think Berserker's also had a pretty quiet one, and he's now on his Zeri. This is one of the champions that he's made his name for himself with.
And I feel like the change away from the Ivern is probably the biggest change here in game number 4 for me, because it's such a different jungler compared to everything else. It's less like having a jungler, more like having a second roaming support all of the time.
Well, especially when there's so much talk about Inspired, CEO of Full Clear. You're playing Jarvan. That is not the style on this champion.
No.
This is the get early aggressive plays going. Constantly look for those aggressive moves if you can. And it is going to be Cloud9 initiating a lane swap, but it's spotted out.
Busio immediately with a grand entrance there on Thanatos, who is going to start his lane swap experience with even less fun than a top laner normally gets to have.
Top lane.
And part of it is because FlyQuest have some really fearsome lanes with a Jarvan that adds more gank potential to an Ashe plus Rakan lane, to a Renekton lane on the top side. So Cloud9 want to swap away from that, and they have Blaber clearing up there on their strong side where they swapped up to. Meanwhile, FlyQuest here, they're going to be happy to take their plates on bottom as payment for C9 doing this.
And I remember when we had Treats on the desk earlier on this weekend, one thing that he mentioned when he was observing, you know, like talking about Team Liquid and their ability to do lane swaps and how everybody looks at them as the best lane swap team. He talked about, you know, in a lane swap, if there's 50 things that could go right, they're doing 45 of them right. And other teams are doing 20 or 30 things right. So there's always so many moving parts to these. There's only different times you could swap back or so many different lane assignments you could make. I'm curious how they're going to play this one out.
Yeah, it can often even be like on the reswap, right? That they get those big advantages. We saw some in their previous series that they just won, where it's like, okay, the initial swap didn't actually get a big gold lead, but then on the reswap back, they create a big advantage. They pull off a dive, their opponents fail to do so, and they're able to really turn that into something massive. As FlyQuest already grabbing that first play here, Thanatos soaking XP. So this has kind of become a little bit of the new meta, where the support just stands off to the side and the top laner gets some of the experience alongside that AD. We've seen 2 teams do this now.
EXP for top laners, a huge factor in these lane swap situations, just trying to not fall egregiously far behind in a game state that sets you up for a really rough early game. As the bottom lane turret has already lost 2 plates, Massu just fine to keep farming up.
So it's interesting there, they had him cancel recall, and they saw Renekton probably coming back here. Renekton went for the full recall. We haven't seen him in a long time. It's only Ashe showing bottom side. So he's probably going to try and slip in here. And I want to see if Cloud9 again cancel and again look to deny. You want to deny even entry into experience range here.
Exactly.
Now they go for the actual recall, and Busio heads over to make sure Bwipo will get into experience range. Renekton in, and we are back to standard now. You pay your early price, your 2 turret plates, and you get your avoidance of the first 4 minutes.
And you can see now Inspired didn't base, so the Faded Ashes is completed for Blaber, but as a result, Inspired is there at the Raptors on spawn, so he should be able to steal this away before the Lillia gets out on the map, and he could even cross back to his own Raptors and potentially deny that, get a little bit of an edge here over what Blaber has done.
And just going back in for the crab. With Busio next to him, it's pretty hard for Blaber to come up and try to contest this, but Inspired does not have a smite, so Busio's presence is going to help protect that Scuttle Crab for the jungler of FlyQuest. Been having a great series so far. I think him and Quad have been standout performers for the FlyQuest team on this one, so I really want to see him get to work on this Jarvan, kind of what we talked about a little bit earlier. You brought it up, Azael. This is not a full clear champion. This is not a support champion that's just going to buy cheap junk and use redemptions. He's got to get involved.
Well, I hate to break it to you guys, but this game he's going to be a full clear champ because it's too predictable, your jungle paths, when you have lane swaps like this where both of them agree to just go to the other side and just take their PvE money, because you know exactly what his path was, and that means you know what his path will be for the next clear as well, and you have the wards left behind on their Raptor as well.
Here's the thing. I'm not going to be, too picky. I'm going to take a fight before the 3rd dragon at this point.
Please. Don't be greedy with it.
Yeah. If he engages at like 14 minutes, I'm like, okay.
Nice early gank.
Yeah, nice early gank.
This series has had less interactive early games, but once we get to the mid game, usually that's when
really
the fights
exciting.
just start exploding, and we have so much scrapping back and forth. Very, very even first 5.5 minutes in this one, though.
Yeah, I already foresee like the best part of this game is going to be the Orianna Shockwave deliveries.
Okay.
Jarvan and Rakan, the analysts that we're talking about, but these are literally 2 of the best delivery systems. And so I kind of like this, where it's a shadow gank here coming through lane for Inspired, and they get a flash just like that. Really nice. And it's afforded because Inspired was coming through the lane. Obviously, you saw, then Berserker has to go through the wall, and nicely done from Busio, forcing his flash there.
Oh, Inspired might actually cancel the recall. No, not quite able to do so. They don't have the info that Vulcan is back in base, so we'll see if they're going to try to go for any sort of aggressive play. It looks like they're not going to. Knowing what we know, they could have actually looked for a dive, but of course, they don't have the luxury of all that information.
Well, Busio did want to jump in there, goes for a grand entrance on Berserker, but does not find it. Taking plates instead as Blaber takes the grubs up here in the top river.
And should just be the exchange, as Mountain Drake does take a long time, the tankiest of drinks, of course, but still should be able to go the way of FlyQuest, and they finish out their reset here. So Berserker had to go pretty far back, and Berserker missing out on some at that tower. He only slips back in now. So nice little move there from FlyQuest, as even though Vulcan comes up and messes around with mid lane, they did push Berserker back a little bit more. And you mentioned it in Champ Select. This is the iconic champion that fans know and love for Cloud9, of Berserker really carrying them when he has the freedom of the Zeri movement later on and has the multiple items coming in. That's when you are really scared.
I mean, I think really when people think of this Cloud9 roster, they think of Jojo and Berserker popping off in a 5v5, taking over in a team fight. That has not been this series. It has been more about quad, more about Massu, more about the drafts and the team play from FlyQuest that have really been getting them the advantages, getting them the wins in a lot of these late game situations. Even the game which Cloud9 won in that first one, became this kind of insane situation where they throw, then their opponents try to finish the Nexus, they can't do it, then they run down, they get both buffs, and then they end the game. It wasn't really any sort of team fight domination.
C9 will have to figure out how to flip that switch here in this one. They don't want to have to go down to the lower bracket. Reminder, you're not out just because you lose here. You still got a shot to make Worlds. You've still got a shot to make Finals. It just means you're going to have to play a few more series to do it if you want to get there.
And then you're on your last life. One mistake, one bad day from a player, a bad read, whatever it is, could be the end of your year, right? Could be you not making it to Worlds. So it means a lot to these players. They work all year for a chance at Finals, for a chance to play, in these big venues, and to play at Worlds, show their stuff internationally. So it is so important to be able to win this series here and just avoid the stress of going to the lower bracket.
Exactly. Guaranteeing that spot at Finals, guaranteeing the spot at Worlds. So much relief just from that one. Then helps you even just focus more on what's directly in front of you. As Bwipo and Thanatos, the Renekton versus Ksante matchup is Renekton versus Ksante. Pretty close. Renekton with some control over the lane early on, but not much more than that.
Yeah, Bwipo doing quite nice for himself in the matchup yet again. Did pretty well the first time around also, but this time too, keeps his pressure up. There's a little bit of a CS lead. Constant pressure towards bottom side from Inspired, though, now that he is level 6. Also joining on the big crash.
Flash on Berserker.
Wants to go in. Berserker popping the lightning crash. Nice and early. Wants to kite these guys out. Tries to get away from the Cataclysm, but remember, there's no flash left for the Cloud9 AD carry. Vulcan has to try to get back underneath the tier 1 turret. Busio will not die to the Ignite, and now the quads come down. It's an easy 2 for nothing for FlyQuest on the dive.
Really good timing on it. Also good execution. They patiently know all they have to get out from Berserker is his jump. As soon as you get the jump out,
they're gonna go again.
And
Beautiful shot from Massu's Ashe to find the Lillia. FlyQuest set it up with the arrow, follow it up with the rest of the team. 3-0 Fly.
Cloud9 are getting way behind off this. FlyQuest are crushing them in this game 4 early game. 3 kills all in a row, back to back to back on that bot side. That last one set up so nicely by Massu. You know, Blaber buffered the W, but it didn't really do anything for him. And even this play, I felt like Berserker was kiting out pretty well, but without that flash, he couldn't do much.
yeah, all they had to do, force his dash away. Busio does that. Then you can jump in with your Cataclysm, and there's no escape for the Zeri afterwards. Then they can go right back in. It's maybe 1 extra tower shot there, but that's about it. Then you can just easily re-dive. They have Massu do it from range, and he's fine to back off. This was the key part that was even more than expectations, where then he's able to, from Fog of War, directly hit Inspired here and line up the follow.
Yeah, able to nail him there. A nice Ashe ulti, but man, I have to wonder, you know, would it have been better for Berserker to try to stay under the tower and fight it out there? Because as soon as he cut it away from the tower, they just didn't have enough damage to really get anything done. Tough situation.
Cloud9 going to be reeling for a little bit after that, when nearly 2,000 gold behind, trying to pick up the second set of grubs here. Just get something back. If you can get 6 grubs, you'll still feel all right about that, but that bottom lane sequence, just massive for FlyQuest. We said we wanted to see some early stuff from the Jarvan. Azael, you said you'd even take the 14-minute play. He's given us a 9-minute one instead.
That's a dub.
For FlyQuest, it's feeling great. Bwipo pops a nice early dominance here, recognizing C9 wanting to overload this top side, go for the tier 1 dive. A nice arrow from Massu again, stuns up Vulcan, prevents any further dive attempts. And now with Inspired and Busio coming up, all they want is for Bwipo to get engaged on so they can come and back him up, punish C9. Nice Cataclysm from Inspired. Quad's grabbing a kill on Vulcan as Bwipo goes after Thanatos, a double kill back over to Orianna. FlyQuest set the trap, and C9 walked right in.
You said it, Flowers. All FlyQuest want is for them to engage on Bwipo. The reinforcements are already here, and FlyQuest win both sides of the map. They successfully dive bottom. They successfully defend top.
I mean, this is just huge, and this was honestly never really going to work. It felt like from Cloud9, it was so telegraphed. You know, they poked and prodded away at him. The wave got cleared out. Then they try to redive again. You're giving so much time for FlyQuest to get there, to be able to respond to the play. Quad TP's in from bot to respond. Inspired is there. Busio is there. They are pumped up in the FlyQuest coaching room. They know that could be the difference in this game that lets them close out the series.
Beautiful coordination there from FlyQuest. I don't know if you guys ever watched it. Braveheart's one of my favorite movies ever. You know that scene where the cavalry charges the guys and then they pull up all the spears, convince them into a bad engage? FlyQuest just Bravehearted Cloud9 underneath that tier 1 turret.
Man.
They couldn't see Inspired and Busio, the spears there waiting to be pulled up, and the teleport usage as well. I mean, after a play like that, it is really hard to focus in this game, you know, because Cloud9 are feeling really demoralized. They just invested all their resources. They lost on the play bottom. Then you use everything top and you lose there as well. You can, I guess, look to the point where you were talking earlier, we've got 6 grubs, you know, maybe we can find a pick. And if you find a pick, that gives you time to actually hit towers and make use of those grubs. But FlyQuest, the path is just so clear for them because they have the early dragon stacking, and they are the ones with the galactic engage of Jarvan and Rakan, Orianna deliveries. All you have to do is keep putting pressure on the dragons. That will draw Cloud9 to you, or you just get the soul, and you are the ones that are constantly going to be able to force these plays. So Cloud9, they have really got to refocus here, get some money onto Berserker and Jojo, and hope for the double carry later.
Bwipo popping Dominus immediately to come up here and defend the tier 1 turret in the bot lane. The plating has just fallen, so he knows that they can do a lot of damage to this thing, especially with all those grubs just going to clear the wave out.
And they're just losing on top side. You know, FlyQuest are pushing top side here with quad, so all those minions dying to tower right now. That was more experience, more gold, more resources into the dirt, Flowers.
I mean, Quad has just been getting so much done in the side lanes, it feels like, across the series. You know, I think back to last game in the Azir game, where it was Jojo with the early laning lead, and it was him getting so much more done, taking down those towers in those side lanes, creating a gold lead for himself. Quad individually, 1.4k gold up here already on the Orianna. And he has that verdant barrier, so that's going to make it harder to get any sort of Leona engage on him, right? You know, you're trying to look for that long-range ulti on him. That's not going to work. It has to be poked off first.
And you can see they committed the shockwave there on Blaber to just chunk him down a little bit, try to force C9 back far enough to finish the kill here on the tier 1. It's not quite there, but this turret is at the bait threshold of health. I think that's what C9 is looking at with Thanatos off to the side there. Maybe they get a little bit too greedy to knock those last couple hundred HP off of the thing. But FlyQuest will commit no such errors. They're just going to back off recall instead.
Next on the schedule, little update here as well. Fun stuff to look forward to. Honestly, for this one, I mean, it's not an elimination match here that we have, of course. This is, you know, still going to have a chance by going down to the lower bracket, but you guys both touched on it multiple times where you don't want to have to go down there and then have a chance at getting knocked out. And so Cloud9, again, just have to refocus here, get some more money onto their carries. They have to deal with FlyQuest putting pressure on next Dragon. I would say very probable Cloud9 do not fight Dragon number 3. They then kind of turn the tables and they take the FlyQuest side of it, as we've seen in this series, and say, fine, you're going to get your third Dragon. You know, you have a very good mid-game gold lead here. Your composition is also well suited to punishing us if we come to Dragon number 3. So you try and wait that out, get more money onto your double carries, and then try and win the fight later.
And Cloud9 has 6 scrubs again, so I mean, if they can get some alone time in those side lanes,
maybe a top tower,
exactly.
try and rush it.
Try to rush down some towers, try to get some gold back in that way, prepare for the final Dragon. But it is, of course, very scary. It's Hextech again, and now Bwipo.
Bwipo has already used the Dominus as Cloud9 face check into their own jungle. They're firing back, though, and Bwipo has to slice his way back to his own team as Thanatos makes his entry, but the teleport arrives just a little bit too late to get any sort of a punish angle there on FlyQuest. Bwipo without the ult, but that was the only big cooldown expended by FlyQuest there that is traded for Vulcan's Solar Flare.
Pretty nice for FlyQuest to be able to get the global out from Cloud9 here. They got the Ignite out as well. Not going to be such a big difference there, but using their extra pressure here, lying in the jungle, lying in wait, and then drawing away some of the tools that Cloud9 want to use to ensure that they can remain efficient. That's the hard part right now for C9, is trying to remain efficient in this game, not dropping any more side waves. And with one less teleport, does make that more difficult, but they're going to try and rush down the Rift Herald.
Absolutely. I mean, it's interesting. The Renekton has been really effective in this series, I gotta say. You know, Cloud9 chose that engage. Vulcan Zenith bladed in onto him. He was on a ward. They're saying, okay, we're going to pick this guy off. We're going to get something advantageous from it. But it ends up costing them more as you're losing that TP, you're losing the Summoner spell, which isn't going to be available for that next fight around the Dragon. But Cloud9's bot lane already up towards top, so it looks like they are not interested in fighting it. Okay. And look at this vision that's just littered everywhere around this here for FlyQuest. This is all FlyQuest vision down on that bot side. You can see that C9's wards are more positioned up towards the top side and also aren't positioned as aggressively because they are really on the back foot.
Not just third Drake of the game, not just Soul Point, but for the third game in a row now, Hex Soul Point. It just puts so much more importance on stacking up these objectives. If FlyQuest can just secure this one immediately, as you can see, Quad is already doing just that. It means that the fourth Drake will spawn just around 24 minutes into the game. That's a pretty early soul, and if FlyQuest can get it, that's a massive amount of power that early for a series that's been threatening to have lots and lots of late games.
Oh yeah, we're going to get a very similar one. Only difference is this time around, it is FlyQuest with the Dragons. We have seen so many games of Cloud9 having the other hand where they're the ones with the early game gold lead and the Dragons, and then FlyQuest are the ones waiting around, stacking, trying to get your trade plays, trying to remain efficient in still building up golden experience for your carries for your later fight, and relying on objective bounties. The objective bounties are on the other foot now. Let's see if those things pop up.
Hate when I step in one of those, man.
Or sometimes you need them, you know?
Fair.
And then you're pretty happy. So we'll see if those end up popping up. Right now, the gold lead is only 2K and the 3 Dragon advantage. So not quite yet here for C9.
C9's got to be feeling pretty nervous, though. I mean, they lost back-to-back games. Even with that massive lead in the first one, they almost lost that. So it's tough, right? You know, when they come to expect that they can win 5v5s against almost every team in the league. You know, they were so consistent in the regular season, only dropped those 3 individual games, only lost the 1 series to Team Liquid. That has been such a point of power for them that we were all really expecting to see, and it just has kind of been absent for them throughout this entire series. You know, it has been FlyQuest really taking control in the 5v5s, and it makes you worried for Cloud9 if you're a C9 fan.
And C9 taking down the tier 1 down here. Remember, they 2-0'd FlyQuest during the regular season as well. One of those 3 losses was not to FlyQuest. Then winning the first game in this series, they were on a 3-0 winning streak. They were on a killing spree against FlyQuest, IRL, and then things have just turned chaotic in the last 2 games.
In-game.
IRL, in-game. In real life, in-game.
Yeah.
Yep.
Understood.
Please no fine arena. It's all in-game here.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the trade of turrets occurs, even though Cloud9 also invested their Rift Herald on bottom side. You saw in the picture-in-picture there, Quad picked up solo turret gold for the opposite one on the top side. So Quad has just retained his really, really nice mid-game lead, and that's going to be the Crypt Bloom completed. I love the efficiency of Verdant Barrier. It's like you just get this spell shield so early on the baby item. And yeah, the cooldown is a little bit longer, but it's so effective. As long as you stay out range of the Corki rockets, all you're really avoiding is the Leona ultimate engage. And so if you avoid that with it, like even the baby version accomplishes the goal. So now he can kind of slingshot ahead into Crypt Bloom also, have the big AoE heals on top of his magic penetration, and the Orianna just provides so much value to these fights.
And you were talking earlier about it, Kobe. FlyQuest has so many rockets they can fire to start these fights off with the Rakan, with the Jarvan, the Orianna, the Ashe. But on C9, it's either a Lillia bowling ball for a sleep or a Leona solar flare. And there's your arrow fired out. Hits Blaber, but nobody else from FlyQuest wants to follow that one up. Not in a tight corridor like that, not with Quad, not quite there.
I mean, in these lanes-up games, the experience on the supports is so low. They're both level 7. We got level 14 for Quad. We have 13 for Jojo. Even Massu is 13. So you are really 1 round of spells, and then you're dead as a support. So you've got to make sure that that initial engage really counts. You're not going to get another chance.
Really, it is kind of funny to see the level comparisons be that drastic. It looks like a guy that was disconnected for 5 minutes, made his way back into the game and is trying to catch up. Still 5 kills to nothing for FlyQuest. We actually haven't had any more kills for quite a while in this one. Cloud9 has not been wanting a whole lot of PvP.
And we just saw so much vision for FlyQuest around this Baron and leading up to it. There are a lot of wards for Bwipo to teleport on. There are a lot of opportunities for FlyQuest to find a snap engage. They're the ones with the Rakan, Jarvan, Orianna here, so they're constantly looking for angles to blow the game open. It's like the lead they have right now is good. The lead they have if they win a new team fight will be game-breaking.
Absolutely, but I really want to see them get more vision towards the bottom side, right? Unless they're going to try to do a Baron for Dragon-type trade. I'd rather see them play towards Hextech Soul, get the deep vision down there, because Cloud9 has shown, like Flowers was saying, they don't want a PvP. They're going to wait until this next Dragon. They're trying to get as strong as they possibly can for this Dragon that's in 45 seconds. So you want to start moving your vision down there and getting those wards for that side of the map where they can really decide not only this game, but potentially the entire series.
Cloud9 is hitting 2-item power spikes on core members right now. They've got the Muramana plus Trinity Force for the Corki. Zeri's got Static Shiv and Runons. Even the Lillia. Blaber is the one player on C9 ahead of his counterpart on FlyQuest. With the Riftmaker now completed, C9 stepping up to contest wave priority here in the mid lane with 15 seconds left until the Drake spawns. They're going to commit the TP from Jojo to rejoin with the rest of the team, but it's just to group up. There's no flank or anything happening here. Keep your eyes
the Verdant Barrier
on FlyQuest. Still just tempting these trades back and forth. Massu takes a quick burst of damage there from Jojo. Steps back in time to escape the Zenith Blade of Vulcan. C9 still looking for a chance, but now the TP from FlyQuest ready to start the fight. Solar Flare finds a mark, but where's the follow-up? Arrow flies in and so does Bwipo. Thanatos is taken down first. Bwipo flashing back away to survive as C9 crumbles and Massu takes another. Berserker tries to cut it away to sidestep the Dragoon Strike as FlyQuest just found 3 for free.
The wards they invested behind C9, drawing them into the open, teleporting behind, and now they can get both objectives. Dragon Soul will get picked up by C9, and the death timers are very long for Cloud9, but they will get back up before Baron, so maybe we'll see a full reset before a Baron force.
Yeah, they see the TP coming in, and Cloud9 makes the call. We're going to try to turn on this. They all try to turn in, but look at this arrow, connects in onto Blaber, and then Bwipo has had eyes on Jojo the entire series long. Berserker here, flash available, doesn't see the shockwave. It was actually hidden, it looked like, on top of a Jarvan wall, so maybe lost track of the ball there, but gets snapped in with that shockwave, pulled in, he's got no health. Jojo's got no health, and Bwipo knows how big that is for them. That could be the series.
Vulcan on the front line as the fight continues here on the top side. River, Vulcan's gonna die through the flash. Bwipo into the back once more, looking for Berserker. Blaber dies, trying to hold the rest of FlyQuest at bay as Thanatos is not tanky enough. A double kill for the Jarvan. Another team fight for FlyQuest, and they are crushing 12-0.
They're going to try to push for the end right here, right now. They don't need the Baron. They're tanking the towers. They're looking to punch their ticket to finals.
Vulcan's going to be alive in 5 seconds. Berserker has to have the Zeri moment of his career to try to keep the game going right now. He's back into the base. He wants to try to defend, but the Nexus turrets are already falling. Berserker is jumped on and absolutely destroyed. Quad is unstoppable. FlyQuest will not be denied. They're going to finals, and they're going to Worlds!
What a series from FlyQuest. Completely different look than we saw from them in the regular season. Their team fighting, their coordination, really looking on point. What a performance from the team here today. Inspired was great across multiple different styles. Quad and Massu incredible throughout the series for these young carries, really showing up big time. And Bwipo on the Renekton was just making Jojo's life a nightmare.
Awesome game from FlyQuest, incredible series. Let's join Jad on stage for an interview.
Thank you very much. I'm here with Inspired and Quad after that victory. Congratulations on qualifying for World Championship. Quad, how do you feel? You played great.
I can't believe I go World. Because last year, I'm HK in 9th place, but this year I go World. I can't believe. Yeah.
I also heard it's your birthday as well.
Yes.
Happy birthday. What a birthday present. Inspired, I also heard you shared a quick word with Jojo afterwards in terms of the ego battle. How do you feel like this one went?
I mean, I knew that before in the interview. I said if nothing is going to happen in the game, we are just going to have better macro. And Jojo said that for sure not. So I don't know. I guess I proved him wrong. I mean, I knew we are going to win if we play like we are doing in practice, because I think right now we kind of got on the same page, and the team is finally doing like just coordinated plays. As you could see in this pretty much whole series, I think we never took a fight when we didn't need to. We always played with waves and just played to our win conditions, and that's what we were working on in practice, just to avoid any random fights, pick draft well, and then use the win conditions we have in the draft. And I think today we just did very, very great.
Absolutely. Quad, I also just received word that you've won Player of the Series as well. Speaking of win conditions, congratulations.
Nice.
Couple smaller games, Azael and Orianna. How much do you feel like you've improved since your first LCS game at the start of the split? Because you were rock solid this series.
I feel like, honestly, today my plays, I don't really like, but a little bit well, but I have to more practice more.
Quad was always insane. Like week 1, when we lost to TL, I think we were trolling him. So it wasn't his fault we ever like lost any game on stage. Like honestly, like looking for any game we played this split, I don't think it was ever mid fault that we lost. So I really like playing with Quad. I think he always knows his job and plays very well. So good job.
That's great to hear, Inspired and Quad. Final question. It's a bit of a rematch in the winners bracket final. You're going to be playing Team Liquid in the best of 5. How are you going to prepare for that one? What's going to happen?
I mean, as you could see today, there was not much fighting going on. The games were pretty controlled, and I think TR is like a really good team at it as well. So it's not going to be as easy, but I think we can win, I think, if we play really well. But for sure, it's going to be a harder game because their macro is better and their team fighting is better. So I think if the game is going to be even, they might do something we will not expect and get the lead off of that. But maybe we'll have a bit different approach going into their series because they're a different team than C9. I already have something in mind what we could be doing, so we'll see.
One more time, congratulations for Quad. Happy birthday. Wins series, player of the series, and goes to Worlds for the first time. We're done from here. Let's head into the lounge.
And thank you for presenting my team. And let's go next step. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Quad.